Imagine a world without cars, no phones, no electric lights, just fields, farms, and a whole lot of manual labor. That was life before the Industrial Revolution. And it all changed, not in a lab or a king's palace, but in the soggy fields of Britain. See, before the 1700s, most folks worked the land, just like their parents and grandparents. But Britain was about to experience a massive growth spurt, thanks to a few key inventions. These weren't fancy gadgets, but simple tools that changed how things were made. One of the first game changers was the spinning jenny. Sounds fancy, right? It was basically a wooden frame that could spin multiple threads at once. Suddenly making cloth was way faster, and where cloth goes, clothes follow. Then came the steam engine, a beast of a machine that used the power of steam to drive all sorts of contraptions. These inventions, along with tons of other innovations, sparked a revolution. Not a revolution of guns and swords, but of iron, steam, and spinning wheels. It was the Industrial Revolution, and it was about to change the world forever. Now why Britain? Why not say France or China? Well, Britain had the perfect recipe for an industrial boom. Think of it like baking a cake. You need the right ingredients and the right amounts at the right time. First, Britain had loads of coal. This black gold was the fuel for the new steam engines, powering everything from factories to trains. Second, Britain had a strong agricultural sector. Farmers were getting better at producing food, which meant fewer people needed to farm and more people could work in factories. Third, Britain was swimming in investment capital. Wealthy merchants and landowners were eager to pour their money into new factories and inventions. They saw the potential for massive profits, and they were right. Finally, Britain had a relatively stable government that encouraged innovation and trade. So, with all these ingredients mixed together, the Industrial Revolution began to bubble over in Britain. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just one big event, but a chain reaction of inventions and innovations. Each new breakthrough led to another, like dominoes toppling over in a row. Take iron, for example. Before the revolution, iron was tough to produce. But then came the blast furnace, which could smelt iron more efficiently. More iron meant more machines, bridges, and railways. And speaking of railways, they were another game changer. The steam engine, initially used to pump water out of mines, was adapted to power locomotives. Suddenly people and goods could travel faster and farther than ever before. Towns boomed into cities, connected by a web of iron rails. Then there was the textile industry. Remember the spinning jenny? It was joined by other inventions like the power loom, which automated the weaving process. Cotton, imported from colonies like India, was spun into cloth at an astonishing rate. Section 4, From Fields to Factories. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just about shiny new machines. It caused a massive shift in where people lived and worked. Before, most people lived in rural areas and worked on farms. But factories clustered in cities offered new opportunities. People flocked from the countryside to seek work in these factories. It was a tough transition. Factory work was often dangerous and poorly paid, with long hours and harsh conditions. Whole families, including children, toiled in factories to make ends meet. Cities swelled with new arrivals, leading to overcrowding, poverty, and pollution. The air was thick with smoke from factories, and the streets were often filled with grime. It was a far cry from the idyllic countryside life. But despite the hardships, the Industrial Revolution offered something new, a chance for advancement. For the first time, people could work their way up the economic ladder, potentially earning more than their parents and grandparents. Section 5. The world turns faster. The Industrial Revolution wasn't confined to Britain's shores. Like ripples spreading from a stone thrown in a pond, its effects were felt across the globe. The innovations, the ideas, the thirst for new markets, it all spread like wildfire. Other countries, seeing Britain's success, rushed to catch up. They built factories, laid railways, and embraced industrialization. The United States, in particular, took to industrialization like a duck to water, eventually surpassing Britain as an industrial powerhouse. Global trade exploded. Raw materials like cotton, rubber, and coal flowed from colonies to industrial centers. Finished goods, from textiles to machines, were shipped all over the world. The world was becoming increasingly interconnected. The Industrial Revolution also had a profound impact on warfare. Mass production techniques meant weapons could be manufactured on a larger scale than ever before. The world wars of the 20th century, with their devastating firepower, were a direct consequence of industrialization. Section 6. The Long Shadow of the Factory. The Industrial Revolution wasn't all sunshine and roses. It came with a cost, both human and environmental. The exploitation of workers, the pollution of cities, the depletion of natural resources, these were the dark sides of progress. Child labor, a common practice during the early years of the revolution, was a shameful chapter. The burning of coal filled the air with smog, leading to respiratory problems. Forests were cleared, and rivers were polluted, all in the name of progress. But the Industrial Revolution also planted the seeds for its own solutions. Labor movements emerged, fighting for workers' rights and better working conditions. Governments implemented regulations to curb pollution and protect the environment. The legacy of the Industrial Revolution is complex and multifaceted. It brought about unprecedented progress, but also unleashed new challenges. It reshaped the world we live in, from the cities we inhabit to the technologies we take for granted. And its impact continues to shape our present and future.